In the vast and turbulent era of Soul Land II, when the Sun-Moon Empire pressed heavily against the world and the Dulu continent trembled under the shadow of Soul Tool warfare, a single name quietly stirred in the north: Longcheng, Dragon City. It was a place shrouded in mystery, controlled by a marshal whose identity even the Empire's own soldiers rarely questioned. Yet beneath that veil of secrecy stood a woman whose existence intertwined fate, politics, and buried emotions. She was Zhu Zi, the true mastermind behind the Sun-Moon Empire's expansion, and an unforgettable figure in Huo Yuhao's life. Before she bore the imposing title of Marshal, Zhu Zi walked a much different path. She began as a talented student of the Sun-Moon Royal Soul Guidance Academy, nurtured under the guidance of the brilliant craftsman Xuan Ziwen. Her aptitude for soul tools exceeded that of ordinary students. But what set her apart even more was her insightful mind. Sharp, calculating, capable of perceiving political tides that others ignored. It was this blend of intellect and talent that drew the attention of Crown Prince Xu Tianran. Over time, she rose from a trusted confidant to the royal consort, and finally to Empress of the Sun-Moon Empire. But even as Empress, Zhu Zi was never content to sit behind palace walls. Xu Tianran, shrewd but paranoid, understood her immense value. Though he feared betrayal from many, he believed in Zhu Zi completely. So when the empire required a decisive military leader, one capable of merging politics, war, and strategy into a single overwhelming force, he entrusted her with the mantle of Marshal of the Three Armies. It was a title that carried unimaginable authority. Yet when Zhu Zi rode to Dragon City, she left behind her imperial identity. She entered not as the ruler of a nation, but as a faceless commander whose true background remained hidden from the world. This anonymity became her strongest weapon. To the outside world, the mysterious Marshal stationed in Dragon City was simply an exceptionally capable leader, a commander whose methods differed radically from the Empire's typically oppressive rule. Unlike the iron-fisted generals before her, Zhu Zi implemented a strategy so subtle and calculated that even Huo Yuhao, with all his keen perception, felt uneasy upon entering the city. Under Zhu Zi's command, Dragon City changed. The soldiers were polite, almost unusually so. The locals were treated with respect, not violence. And soon the streets filled with life-use soul tools, simple devices that made daily chores easier, lighting brighter, water cleaner, and life more comfortable. These gifts were distributed freely, with no force, no coercion. It was a silent infiltration, one that planted the seeds of acceptance deep into the hearts of the people. Huo Yuhao could sense something was off the moment he stepped foot into Dragon City. The atmosphere was too harmonious, too controlled. A Sun-Moon garrison that treated civilians with kindness was already strange enough. But a garrison that invested resources to improve the lives of locals? That was a deliberate political maneuver. It was only when the Marshal's identity was exposed that Huo Yuhao realized the truth. This was Zhu Zi's doing. The woman he once saved, the woman who once shared warmth with him through grilled fish in the mountains, was now the architect of this peaceful yet dangerous transformation. Zhu Zi wielded her martial and strategic capabilities with precision. Though only a level 7 soul master, her mastery over soul tools made her a formidable commander. As the symbolic leader of the Fire Phoenix Soul Master Corps, she could mobilize not just one, but 6 national-level corps under her banner. Among them, the Fire Phoenix, Evil Lord, and Terror Claw legions became the sharpest spear points of the Sun-Moon Empire's conquests. Under her guidance, the combination of soul tool, might, and disciplined legionary tactics reached new heights. Dragon City, once merely a frontier post, evolved into a strategic stronghold. Yet beneath her armor and icy calm, Zhu Zi carried an emotional conflict that made her all the more complex. Her past with Huo Yuhao was not a fleeting encounter. It was a scar, a memory, and a longing intertwined. Their bond was born in hardship, tension, and unexpected vulnerability. When Huo Yuhao saved her, it shattered the rigid wall she had built around herself. And when they parted, she carried with her not only gratitude but also a softening in her heart that she could never fully suppress. In the Jingyang Mountains, grilled fish reminded her of her father, memories that Huo Yuhao unknowingly awakened. Even after rising to the position of Empress and then Marshal, she never forgot that warmth. She even promised him 4 acts of mercy on the battlefield, a vow that lingered painfully between them as war drew nearer. But their identities placed them on opposing sides of history. She was destined to lead the Sun Moon Empire's armies, and he was destined to stand against them. This tension shaped the very nature of Dragon City. Zhu Zi strengthened it, knowing full well that someday, within its walls or upon its borders, she would face the person she cared for yet could never embrace. Her strategy, forged in Dragon City, would soon reshape the continent. With calculated precision, she conquered the Heavenly Soul Empire and the Dueling Empire within 3 years, a feat no general before her had ever achieved. The once impregnable Mingdu mountain range fell under her control. The Star Luo Empire became another target, teetering at the edge of collapse. Zhu Zi was no longer merely a commander. She had become the unstoppable force behind the Sun Moon Empire's dream of unification. Even after being defeated by Huo Yuhao in the icy lands of the far north, she returned to the empire with her will unbroken. She steadied the hearts of her soldiers, rebuilt morale, and prepared once again for war. Her vision never faltered. It wasn't until the final confrontation, when Huo Yuhao used the threat of annihilating 1,000,000 Sun Moon soldiers and even attempted to take her son, that the strongest mask Zhu Zi had ever worn finally shattered. In that moment, she revealed what she had hidden for years, the truth of her son's identity, the last piece of her heart she had desperately protected from both politics and war. In Dragon City, she was the mysterious Marshal. On the battlefield, she was the iron-blooded conqueror. In the Empire, she was the Empress who reshaped the world. But deep inside, she remained the girl who once met Huo Yuhao beside a quiet fire, torn between duty and emotion, between hatred and affection, between a nation's destiny and her own fragile heart. Her identity as the Marshal was not only a role, it was a symbol of her transformation, the embodiment of a woman who rose from loss and tragedy to become one of the most pivotal figures in the history of Soul Land 2. And it was in Dragon City, hidden behind layers of secrecy and strategy, that the true power and complexity of Zhu Zi first came to light. And so, the veil finally lifts on the identity of the Sun Moon Empire's mysterious Marshal. A woman shaped by loss, sharpened by ambition, and bound by a fate she never chose. Zhu Zi's rise in Dragon City was not merely the story of a commander securing territory, but the tale of a strategist who reshaped nations, a mother who guarded her final secret, and a woman whose heart battled endlessly between love and duty. Her every decision rippled across the continent, her every step tightening the tension between the Sun Moon Empire and the rest of the world. Even those who opposed her could not deny her brilliance, and even those she cared for could not escape the shadow she cast. In the end, Zhu Zi became a symbol of power, of tragedy, and of the impossible choices born from war. Her life intertwined with Huo Yuhao's not as friend or foe alone, but as two people carried forward by destiny on paths destined to collide. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Soul Land 2 and the layered identity of Dragon City's most enigmatic leader, be sure to stay tuned. More hidden histories, character revelations, and untold stories from your favorite Donghua worlds are on the way. Until next time, thank you for watching. This is KSR signing off.